You're boarding a long flight. Your knees ache, your bag's a little too heavy, and the aisle feels like a narrow hallway during a fire drill. You finally get to your row, seat 29B, only to find there's no room in the overhead bin, and the guy next to you is already asleep with both armrests claimed. Sound familiar? Here's the part no one tells you. It didn't have to be this hard. Airlines actually offer a lot of free services for senior travelers, things that can make your flight smoother, safer, and way more comfortable. But here's the catch. They rarely offer them unless you ask. So in this video, we're going to walk you through 15 free things you can request the next time you fly. No upgrade required, no membership needed. Just your voice and maybe a little confidence at the check-in counter. Let's start with one of the most overlooked perks that could change how you board the plane entirely. You've just settled into your seat. The cabin lights dim. You know it's going to be a long flight, maybe overnight, maybe international. And you're thinking, I really wish I had a toothbrush or something for these dry lips. Here's something most passengers never hear about. Many airlines offer free comfort kits, especially on long-haul or overnight flights. We're talking about little pouches with toothbrushes, toothpaste, lip balm, socks, sleep masks, even a comb or hand lotion. But here's the thing, they don't usually hand them out in economy unless you ask. Sometimes there are extra kits left over from business class or premium economy, and flight attendants often save those for passengers who might need a little extra care, like older travelers who ask kindly and early in the flight. If your flight's a long one, it's worth asking early. A quiet request, especially from a kind traveler, often goes further than you think. Worst case, they say no. But more often than not, they'll find something for you. It's a small gesture, but when you're 35,000 feet in the air, feeling clean, cozy, and just a bit more human, that can make all the difference. Your first flight lands. You're in Terminal B. Your next gate? All the way across the airport, maybe Terminal D. The clock is ticking, and your legs are already feeling it. This is where connection assistance becomes a lifesaver. Airlines and airports offer free help to get you from one gate to the next, especially if your layover is tight or the terminals are far apart. That might mean a golf cart ride through the concourse, a shuttle between terminals, or even a personal escort walking with you. And you don't need to be in a wheelchair to ask. If you have trouble with long distances or just need a little help navigating a big airport, this service is for you. The key is to request it before you fly, either during booking or by calling the airline at least 48 hours in advance. But even if you forget, you can still ask for help when you land. Just speak to the gate agent or someone at the arrival area, and they'll make arrangements. You don't have to power walk your way through unfamiliar terminals. Ask for help and arrive at your next gate with energy to spare. Most people assume airport lounges are only for frequent flyers or travelers with fancy credit cards. But here's a little-known truth. If you're an older traveler, there are a few quiet doors that might just open for you if you ask the right way. Let's say you're flying internationally, or you've got a long layover between connections. Maybe you requested special assistance, or you're using a credit card designed with retirees in mind. In any of those cases, you might actually be eligible for lounge access without paying a dime. Even if you're not a loyalty member or flying business class, it's worth asking, especially if the lounge isn't full and you politely explain that you're a senior traveler looking for a quiet place to rest between flights. And what's inside those lounges? Comfortable seating, clean restrooms, free snacks, strong Wi-Fi, and, maybe most important of all, peace and quiet. After navigating a noisy terminal, that can feel like a little oasis. So next time you check in or reach your gate, don't hesitate to ask. Sometimes a simple question can earn you a much more comfortable wait. You've made it to your seat. Your carry-on's ready to go overhead. But then you look up at that bin, and it suddenly feels a lot higher than you remembered. If lifting your bag feels like a stretch, or if you've got a sore shoulder, a weak back, or just don't want to risk it, you're not stuck. Flight attendants can help. And they're more than happy to, especially for older passengers. The key is timing. If you wait until everyone's in line behind you or the aisle's backed up, it puts the crew in a tight spot. But if you ask for help as soon as you board, before the rush, chances are someone will gladly assist. Even if it's a smaller bag you're planning to tuck under the seat, let the crew know if you're having trouble bending down or reaching. That kind of heads up helps them keep an eye out and support you where needed. Think of it this way. You've made it through security, found your gate, waited in line, and now you've earned the right to settle in without straining your body. You don't have to lift a thing on your own if it puts you at risk. Just speak up early, and the help will usually be right there. It's a long flight. The cabin's dark, the engine's humming, and everyone around you seems glued to their screen. Meanwhile, your seatback is flashing that press play screen, but you didn't bring headphones. No headphones in your seat pocket? Mention it early, before they're gone. Most crews are happy to help if you catch them before the cabin gets busy. On most flights, especially longer ones, flight attendants carry a stash of basic headphones. They're not fancy, but they work. And if you speak up at the right time, there's a good chance you'll get a pair for free. They don't always advertise it, but they're usually more than willing to help, especially for older passengers who didn't grow up packing AirPods in their carry-on. And if your flight doesn't have seatback screens, some airlines offer tablets loaded with movies and games. But again, these aren't handed out automatically. You'll need to request one early if you want in. The plane's in the air, the lights are low, and that cabin chill starts creeping in. You reach for your sweater, but it's packed in your bag, somewhere up in the overhead bin. Now your neck's stiff, your knees are cold, and sleep feels like a distant dream. Here's something most travelers forget. Blankets and pillows are often available. You just won't see them unless you ask. On overnight or international flights, they're usually standard. But even on shorter routes, there may be a few extras tucked away, especially from premium cabins. Cabin crew rarely offer them by default, but if you ask early, before the aisles fill and everyone settles in, there's a good chance they'll find one for you. A soft pillow behind your lower back, a light blanket over your lap. It's not much, but it can turn a restless flight into something close to restful. A small comfort, but one well worth requesting. The drink cart just passed by. You took a tiny cup of water, 3 sips, maybe 4, and now your mouth's already dry again. The service is over, and you're stuck in your seat wondering if that's all you get. But here's the thing. Hydration matters more than people realize, especially at 35,000 feet. The air is dry, your body's working harder than usual, and if you're on medication, it's even more important to stay ahead of it. Flight attendants get this. If you need more water, don't wait or second guess. Flag them down or head to the galley when it's safe. Most are more than willing to refill your cup or hand you an extra bottle. And if you're feeling lightheaded or need something small with your meds, it's okay to ask if they have an extra snack. Crackers, juice, even fruit, they often carry more than what gets rolled down the aisle. A little kindness goes a long way up here. And staying comfortable starts with saying what you need. Airplane food is already hit or miss, but if you have dietary restrictions, like diabetes, high blood pressure, or gluten intolerance, it can feel like a gamble you don't want to take. Here's something many travelers don't know. Most airlines offer special meals for free. Low sodium, diabetic-friendly, vegetarian, gluten-free, kosher, halal, you name it. These meals aren't fancy, but they're designed to match your needs. The key is timing. You'll need to request the meal when you book your ticket, or at least 24 to 48 hours before your flight. Once you're on the plane, the regular meals are already loaded and counted, so it's too late to make a change. That said, if you forgot to order in advance, don't give up hope. Sometimes flight attendants have an extra special meal or two on board, and if you ask politely, they might be able to help. And here's one more tip. Even if you do get your special meal, it never hurts to pack a small snack you know you can eat, just in case your tray shows up cold, late, or missing something important. Managing your health doesn't stop just because you're flying. But when you know what's available and you plan a little, you can eat well and fly comfortably without any surprises. If you live with a chronic condition, like heart trouble, breathing issues, or limited mobility, the idea of flying can feel a little nerve-wracking, but it doesn't have to be. Airlines are actually prepared to assist with medical needs during a flight. They just need to know in advance. Let's say you use a portable oxygen concentrator. You're allowed to bring it on board, but you'll need to notify the airline at least 48 hours ahead so they can approve the device and make any needed arrangements. Most airlines have a form for your doctor to fill out, and once that's done, they'll usually clear you to fly with it. And no, you can't count on the airline to provide oxygen tanks on board. Those aren't standard, so if you need oxygen, it's up to you to bring the equipment and get approval in time. But medical support goes beyond oxygen. If you're carrying medications, using a CPAP machine, or need help moving through the cabin during the flight, just let the crew know. They've been trained to assist. Whether that means checking in on you mid-flight, helping with timing for medication, or simply knowing you're not feeling 100%, that communication makes a huge difference. You can also ask for a discreet medical kit or basic first aid assistance if something comes up unexpectedly. The bottom line? Speak up early and don't downplay your needs. When the crew knows what to expect, they're not just willing to help, they're ready. Window or aisle, front of the plane or back. For seniors, those choices matter more than people think. If you need to get up frequently, you don't want the middle seat. If you have trouble walking, you don't want to be stuck 10 rows from the nearest restroom. And if you're boarding with assistance, a seat near the front makes the whole process easier. Here's the part people don't realize. Many airlines offer free seat selection for older travelers, especially if you book by phone or request mobility support. Some will let you choose your seat during booking without charging the usual fee. Others may help you adjust your seat at check-in or at the gate. Just be specific. Say, I'd like to sit near the restroom, or I need an aisle seat because I stretch my legs often. It's not about preference, it's about comfort and health, and that's something most agents take seriously. You booked economy. It's what fit the budget. But that doesn't mean you have to stay uncomfortable for the whole flight. If sitting for long stretches is tough on your body, or you know a tight row will make things harder, there's something you can do. Speak up early. At check-in or at the gate, explain, briefly and calmly, that you'd be more comfortable in a seat with extra space. Maybe near the front, maybe with more legroom. You don't need a long explanation, just a clear, polite request. Airlines don't promote it, but when space allows, they can be surprisingly flexible. A better seat, more legroom, even a quiet upgrade if you ask before the rush. It's not about asking for special treatment. It's about traveling safely and more comfortably because you took a moment to say what you need. Even if you board early, just getting to your seat or off the plane later can still be a challenge, especially when everyone jumps up at once, crowding the aisle like it's a fire drill. If you need help boarding or deplaning, whether it's because of age, mobility issues, or a medical condition, you absolutely have the right to request it. That support might include early boarding, so you have time to find your seat without pressure. Or it could mean an aisle chair, a slim, airport-provided wheelchair that fits down the narrow cabin aisle. Flight attendants and ground staff are trained to help you transfer safely and discreetly. When you land, someone can meet you at your seat, help you stand, retrieve your bags, and guide you off the plane without rushing or risking a fall. You can even request someone to escort you all the way to baggage claim. But none of this happens automatically. You need to ask. Ideally, let the airline know when booking your ticket, or call them a couple of days in advance. If you're at the airport already, tell the staff at the check-in counter or gate. You don't have to brave the aisle on your own. The help is there. It just starts with your voice. The gate agent calls Group 4, then Group 5, and like clockwork, there's a wave of people grabbing bags, crowding the gate, shuffling forward like it's a race to find overhead bin space. But if you're a senior traveler, you don't have to join the rush. Most airlines allow older passengers to board early before the main crowd. It's not a special favor. It's a built-in option. You just have to ask. That early boarding time gives you space to move without feeling rushed, time to store your bag without holding up the aisle, and a chance to settle in while the cabin's still calm. Sometimes, the airline will announce pre-boarding for those needing extra time. But even if they don't say it out loud, you can still walk up to the gate agent, explain that you'd appreciate a little extra time to board, and they'll usually wave you through right then. No need to apologize. No need to explain too much. Just a simple request, and you're on your way, without the squeeze of the crowd or the pressure to hurry. Airports aren't small. From check-in to security, then to the gate, and finally through the jet bridge, it's a lot of walking, even on a good day. But if you have trouble standing for long periods or walking long distances, you can request wheelchair assistance for the entire journey, and it's completely free. When you book your ticket, there's usually a checkbox for mobility assistance or wheelchair request. If you missed it, no problem. You can also call the airline directly, even a few days before your flight, and ask them to add it to your booking. Once you arrive at the airport, someone will meet you at the entrance or check-in counter, help with your bags, and guide you through security, all the way to your seat. When you land, they'll be waiting at the aircraft door to help you get to baggage claim or your next gate. Even if you don't use a wheelchair every day, it's okay to request one for the airport. It's not about giving up independence. It's about saving energy for the rest of your journey. And one more thing, the folks pushing those chairs, they're not airline staff. They're usually third-party contractors, and they rely heavily on tips. So if you're happy with the help, a small thank you goes a long way. If you're a senior traveler who uses a wheelchair, a walker, or even just a cane to get around, flying can feel like an uphill climb. But with a little preparation, and by knowing exactly what to ask for, you can make your trip far smoother than most people realize. Let's start at check-in. Instead of using a kiosk or checking in online, go straight to the counter. The staff can flag your booking for special assistance, arrange for pre-boarding, and even notify the gate crew that you'll need help getting to your seat. If you're booking over the phone and mention that you have a disability, many airlines will waive the seat selection fee right away. One tip, try to avoid booking through third-party websites like Expedia if you need mobility assistance. Airlines are less likely to make changes or provide support when a third-party booking is involved. Now let's talk about bags. If you can't lift your carry-on into the overhead bin, you're allowed to check it at the same price or lower as a carry-on. And if you need to bring an extra bag with medical supplies or mobility equipment, most airlines let you do that for free. As for seating, by law, passengers with limited mobility aren't allowed to sit in exit rows. But you can absolutely request an aisle seat or a bulkhead row with more space. These seats usually come with a fee, but if you stay within your cabin class and explain your needs, many agents will waive the cost. When it comes to wheelchair service, don't wait until you arrive. Let the airline know as early as possible, ideally a few days before your flight. You can also request aisle chairs if you need help reaching your seat on the plane. And if someone helps you through the airport, it's always a kind gesture to tip. They're often working for third-party services and rely on tips to make a living. Security has its own set of rules too. If you're over 70 or have a disability, you're not required to remove your shoes or belt at TSA. And if you use a power wheelchair, be extra prepared. Reach out to the airline days in advance. Talk directly to the ground crew at departure and arrival. Label removable parts like footrests and wrap anything that could break during handling. If the joystick doesn't detach, cover it securely. And don't forget, most lithium batteries need special clearance to fly, so double-check with the airline before packing. The bottom line? You don't have to fly alone or struggle in silence. With clear communication, a little extra planning, and a polite but confident voice, your next trip can be smoother safer, and a whole lot more dignified. You deserve that. So there you have it, 15 free perks that can make flying as a senior not just easier, but actually enjoyable. From early boarding and extra legroom to comfort kits, meals tailored to your health, and help every step of the way. You don't need to pay extra, upgrade your seat, or join a fancy rewards program. You just need to know what to ask for. And if you travel with mobility challenges, we hope those bonus tips gave you the confidence to ask for what you need, without hesitation and without apology. Air travel might not be what it used to be, but with the right information, you can still take off feeling calm, comfortable, and in control. If this video helped you, or someone you love, fly smarter, give it a like. Share it with your travel buddy, your parents, or anyone who deserves a better flight experience. And if you've got tips of your own, drop them in the comments. We'd love to hear them. Don't forget to subscribe for more real travel advice, designed with you in mind. We'll see you in the skies.